What's up guys, I'm CandidCrandell and today I'm going to be talking about the Pretty Little Liars Season 5 premiere, Escape from New York. You all know the drill. If you haven't seen the episode yet and you don't want me to spoil things for you, pause this video right now. We see Noel talking to the paramedics who are taking Ezra away. So obviously Noel is not the one who killed Mrs. De Laurentiis. I know that I said that maybe it could have possibly been him, but obviously that just crosses him off the list. It's also good that Noel is talking to the cops so that for once the girls are not having to go down to a police station and answer a bunch of questions. The hooded figure is on top of the ambulance. What? Who is this person and why do they have such ridiculous upper body strength and why are they riding on the ambulance? Actually, no, you know what? I get it. I've lived in New York. The subways suck. If you can get a free ride on the top of an ambulance, I mean, I just don't know how no one else, including like the police officers that were there, didn't notice. I don't know, if you're taking a gunshot victim to the hospital and there's someone dressed in all black covering their face on the top of the ambulance, that to me might be a little bit of a sign that we should look into who that person is, because that's just a little bit sketchy. Also, the fact that the person dressed all in black is able to just walk into the hospital and watch them as they're like treating Ezra, I don't think that would happen. I have watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy and they're pretty good about making sure that no one is getting near a gunshot victim, because obviously someone shot them. But the girls make a phone call and he gets some cops to look out for him while he's in surgery. Clearly it was important for the cops to be there because we see A try to sneak into the surgery that Ezra is having. This bitch is bold, man. Hannah gives Allie one of the guns that the hooded figure was holding. Guys, you cannot be running around New York City with guns that are not registered to you. That is just dumb. Bottom line, I just don't think that any of them should be running around with guns at this point. Also, Hannah seems to have quite a thing for them as of late. It's always Hannah touching the guns. Arya and Allie go together and then the rest of the girls go to the hospital trying to make sure that they get there first because they're gonna try and set a trap for A. Or at least the hooded figure that they seem to think is A. I think that we all know that that is not Big A. Big A is not stupid enough to get their hands dirty by shooting someone on a rooftop in New York City. They get their minions to do that for them. Everyone at the Hastings house seems to be very on edge. Peter Hastings is getting drunk as a skunk for some unknown reason. Melissa seems genuinely surprised that Allie is alive. She also is like, oh my god, did Spencer know this whole time that Allie was alive? And Mrs. Hastings seems to think that the girls have only known that Allie was alive for a month, which is when the picture was taken of them on Halloween with Allie in the backyard. And that really is the only time that they have been 110% certain that Allie is still alive. Each of them have like seen her at random times, but none of them were sure if it was actually her or if they were hallucinating. So yeah, they really didn't know until about a month ago. I love how much time they've been devoting to this on the show, that only a month has passed in time since they found out that Allison was alive. Mrs. Hastings says that she wants to try to reserve judgment on Allison, that they have no idea what she's been through. I get where she's coming from with that. It makes sense that if a teenage girl decided to go on the run and fake her death for 2 years, she probably went through something pretty serious. Melissa says that she shouldn't be withholding judgment because Allie has been at the center of every problem that Spencer has ever gotten into. Melissa describes Allie as a walking time bomb, except Allie is never the one who blows up. I have to agree with Melissa on this one. I think that Allie is a walking time bomb and she constantly gets everyone around her into trouble and she never ends up having to take the fall for anything that she does. Melissa says, I really thought it was Allison in that grave. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's super sketchy to me. Perhaps what Melissa whispered into Peter Hastings' ear is that she was the one who killed the girl that was in Allie's grave. And when she thought it was Allie, I don't think she felt all that bad about it. Only now is Melissa starting to feel guilty. She's crying for that poor girl and her family and they don't even know she's dead. Melissa says that she needs to tell her mom something really important, but then all of a sudden Hallbrook shows up at their door and interrupts to come by and tell them in person that Cece Drake escaped police custody. Why hasn't the entirety of Rosewood PD been fired yet? They just need to like get rid of everybody and start fresh, it would seem. Allie says to Arya that the reason that Ezra is still looking for her is because he thinks that if he can save Allie, that maybe Arya will give him another chance. Oh, I think that's a weird reason to do that, all things considered. But anything that Ezra Fitz does for the sake of winning Arya back, I am pretty much in favor of. Then again, who knows if Allie is even telling the truth about that. I feel like she might be trying to manipulate Arya. I don't know. I just don't trust Alison DeLaurentis. Still. Holbrook tells the Hastings that he thinks that Cece Drake is dangerous, so he wants to make sure that they have told him everything that they know. And it looks like Melissa's about to say something, and then Peter Hastings comes forward and is like, no, we've told you everything we know. No, you haven't. You're a drunk little liar. We see Mona in Rosewood, and she's talking to someone, and it turns out to be Lucas. So I was wrong about Lucas being the person on the roof, but I think it would have been really interesting if Lucas was the person with the gun. But I knew that Lucas was involved in the A-Team, and he's back. I feel like he's been up to some creepy things, and I want to know all about them, obviously. Mona and Lucas are watching the report on Allison being alive, and Mona says this changes everything. So Mona is clearly still very much involved in some game. I don't know if it's the A game or her own personal game, but Mona's playing some game. Seeing Ezra on the operating table was pretty creepy, and the only way that I was able to get through it is because I've seen so many pictures of Ian Harding on set filming for other episodes that I have to assume that he's okay. The girls page Allie to the emergency room. They know that if A is in the hospital, they will try to follow Allie potentially as opposed to going after Ezra. Mainly, they're just trying to get A out of the hospital in order to keep Ezra safe. But I think there's also a part of them that's hoping if they can flush A out, they'll get to find out who this person is. We see the person in the black hoodie texting on their phone. It is a group message, and the message says, "It's happening. Follow the leader." A little creepy because it's like kids playing a game, but it's definitely not a kid's game because there's people getting killed. The person in the black hoodie chases Allison into an abandoned park, asks if she wants to play, and then tells her it's over. And then the girls come out and are like, haha, it's not over, we've got you cornered. Allie sprays them with hairspray or bug spray. That'll probably be significant. We should be looking for anyone who seems to be needing eye drops in the next couple episodes. Just when they think that they have that person in the hoodie cornered, another person in a black hoodie shows up and is like, oh, are you sure that's A? Maybe I'm A, or maybe they're A. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of people in black hoodies and black pants and masks come running into the park and running around the girls, and I have no idea who all these people are, especially based on the fact that we know that Mona, Lucas, and Melissa are all still very much in Rosewood. I'm running out of people for it to be, so I don't know who all of those people were, if they're on the A-Team, if they were simply hired by the person who is doing all of this. Maybe they're just like actors or something. I mean, it is New York. They might have put up something on Craigslist being like, we need some actors for this thing. You have to follow the leader. It's performance art. Would not surprise me. Mona is on the phone with someone and says, you need to stay on top of this. We're mobilizing. They're not in Philadelphia, they're in New York. Mona and Lucas had no idea that the girls were actually in New York. So I think it's safe to assume that whoever was shooting is probably not working for Mona. Or at the very least, Mona did not send them there to do that. Melissa has a conversation with her dad where she says that she can't keep this secret anymore and that she wants to tell Holbrook the truth. What truth? Obviously, it's the truth that she whispered into his ear and that has caused him to start drinking like a fish. Melissa says that when Spencer finds out, she'll have a reason to come home. Peter Hastings' response is, your mother can never know what you told me. I am very, very curious as to what secret Melissa is keeping that would destroy Veronica Hastings. I think it's either that Melissa killed whoever was in Allie's grave, or it has something to do with the fact that Jason has a twin. Veronica Hastings was already pretty upset when she found out that Peter was the father of Jason, but I think if she found out that there was another one running around that has been in Radley or something sketchy like that, that he has been paying money out the wazoo to keep quiet and keep under wraps, I think she would probably have a heart attack. And I also think she would probably leave him. In the books, she does leave him. And I think we're all thinking the obvious thing is that Melissa killed someone, but I think that it could be something that is more detrimental to Peter himself. He says that he thinks about his family all the time, but I think that the person he's really looking out for is himself. The New York Police Department calls Holbrook to tell them that Ezra Fitz has been shot, and Holbrook's like, what does that have to do with us? Supposedly Holbrook has no idea who Ezra Fitz is. Not that good of an investigator if he hasn't figured out Ezra's involvement in any of this. He doesn't know that he's their teacher. He doesn't know that he had a connection to Allie, to Aria. Come on, bro. Get it together. You're state police. You're not even Rosewood PD. Maybe it's from being in the building that it's just making your brain turn to mush, but you're not thinking if you don't already know who Ezra Fitz is and you've been working on this case for how long. Holbrook searches Ezra's records and he pops up in the police database. This could be for a couple reasons. It might be because he's a teacher, like he has to get fingerprinted and like be on record just because he's a teacher. He has to have background checks and all of that. Maybe it's as simple as that. But the fact that the police have a record of him and his fingerprints and everything also suggests to me that maybe he has some kind of police record. So I'm a little concerned that we don't know everything about Ezra Fitzgerald yet. Allie takes the girls to a theater in New York that she goes to a lot. It's called The Fitzgerald, and surprise, it's owned by Ezra's family. Allie says that Ezra didn't bring her there to impress her. It was kind of his special place. Then we get to see a flashback of Allie and Ezra in the theater. Ezra had told Allie that he was going to take her to the theater, and he surprised her by taking her to this empty theater, and she's like, I thought you were taking me to see a play. She gets up on stage and she looks out at the audience, and she's really struck by the feeling of just like looking out at this house full of seats and imagining all of those people looking at her and paying attention to her and loving her. And Ezra points out that it's not really love, it's adoration. I think part of the issue is that Allie's conception of love in her head is actually what adoration is. She wants people to be willing to do anything for her and to hang on her every word and to worship her. And that's not love, because that's not healthy. But I think that that's a hint at the fact that Allison doesn't really love anyone because she doesn't know what it means. She's like, I think I could be an actress, and Ezra points out that he thinks she's kind of already an actress. She tells all these stories with such conviction, and Allie points out that if you can't convince yourself, how can you expect someone else to believe you? When they're sitting in the theater, one of the custodians comes in. He realizes that it's Ezra, and he addresses him as Mr. Fitzgerald. Obviously, Ezra hadn't told Allie about that, and she's like, Fitzgerald? So she finds out at that point that Ezra was a rich boy pretending to be poor. And she says that that actually made her like him more. Not because he didn't want the money, but because he had her totally fooled. And she used to think that that was an asset back then. What that says to me is that Allison knows some more stuff about Ezra that I think that we don't. His mom has always given me the creeps ever since we met her, and his brother did too, so the Fitzgerald family is not to be trusted in general, I think, and I'm hoping that we get to find out some more about them this season. Hannah picks up another gun on the stage. Hannah, stop it with the guns. Put them down. Maybe you need to go take some self-defense lessons from Jake or Holden so that you don't feel the need to be grabbing guns everywhere you go. Allie says that she needs to make a phone call, that there are several people who have risked a lot to help her, and if they see that the police know that she's alive on the news, that they'll worry about her. But she says that she needs to go somewhere else to make the call, like she doesn't want to make it next to the girls. Sketchy, sketchy, sketchy. Also, who has risked more than these girls that are with you currently that you need to call? Shauna shows up at the hospital and says that Allie sent her to check on Aria. I don't know if I believe that, because I think that if Shauna was in New York, Allie would have met up with her way sooner if she wanted to, don't you think? Spencer, Emily, and Hannah are discussing the fact that they feel like Allie is kind of already shutting them out. The girls keep saying that once Ezra tells them who A is, this will finally all be over. Except no, it won't, because the show got renewed for 2 more seasons, so he's not gonna wake up next the episode and tell you who A is. He probably knows like a piece of the puzzle, but I think it's like one of those 3D 5,000 piece puzzles. The girls talk about what they would do if A wasn't an issue for them anymore. I don't think they've ever really thought about that before, about how much time this has taken up in their lives. Most of their time in high school has been spent dealing with this. Hannah says that maybe she would play field hockey because she always liked Spencer's field hockey skirt. I also think that Hannah would be good at field hockey. I'd like to see her just take a stick to someone. I think that'd be fun. And Spencer says that she doesn't want to go back to the way that she was before, where she only cared about winning, because now all she really cares about is being happy. Cece finds the girls at the theater after she broke away from police custody. Clearly, the distance between Rosewood and New York is not that far, because if Cece was able to break out of police custody and then get to New York City, Allie asks Cece how she found her, and Cece replies, "We don't just look alike, we think alike too. You asked for my help in Ravenswood, now I need yours." So Allie was the one who enlisted Cece to wear the red coat in Ravenswood. She was hoping that if there were two people in red coats that it would distract A with enough time for them to save Emily from the box. Cece is not the one that put Emily in the box, she's the one that got her out. A put Emily in the box, according to Allie. Holbrook continues his dig into Ezra's past, finds several different pictures and articles about him, one of which is that Golden Orchid Award that Spencer won. He was in the picture for it. I'm not entirely sure why, but if you'll remember, that was a paper that Spencer stole, and she was really upset that it got submitted for a Golden Orchid. Maybe Ezra had something to do with that. Holbrook says, so Fitz is a Fitzgerald, and for whatever reason, that seems to mean something to him. Allie decides to give Cece her plane ticket and passport and the money that Noel gave to her so that Cece can get out of town. Allison gets a little teary-eyed and is like, oh, is this gonna be goodbye? And Cece points out that they always find their way back to one another, so I don't think this is goodbye for Cece Drake. Ezra is in recovery, he made it through surgery, and Shauna is in there and didn't wake Arya up. When Arya is in there though, Ezra begins to wake up and his heart starts to go really fast, and at first I was like, oh, that's so cute, it's because he's seeing Arya, and then I realized I think it's because he sees Shauna standing behind her, and I think it's because he knows something about Shauna and that she's not to be trusted. So he starts to kind of like convulse and Shauna makes a run for it. Allie comes back from her conversation with Cece and Noel, and Emily confronts her asking where she was. I really like how bold Emily is being right now, and the fact that she is not making excuses for Allie right now, and she needs some answers from her. All of the girls, I think, deserve answers from Allison, but I think Emily, more than anyone else, really deserves them. Allison says, there's some things you just don't need to know about Em, it's better that way, and Emily replies, that's not a good enough answer. Boom, I like that. You can't let Allie get away with these like flowery, like, oh, it's better for you if you don't know. No. I am here in New York with you. Tell me what's going on. So Mona's building an army. There are a bunch of people in there that we don't recognize. They all seem to be various people from Rosewood High School. But the faces that we do recognize are Lucas and Paige. Mona has gotten all of these people together to say, when Allison De Laurentiis was here, she tortured us all. That is something that we all have in common. And if we stand together, there's strength in numbers, and she won't be able to take us down. But Paige says that she's not sure that she wants to be involved. And as Paige is starting to leave, Mona says that she can't protect her if she's not with them. When Paige opens the door, she runs into Melissa. Yes, Melissa Hastings. What is she doing there? Melissa makes a beeline for Mona and says, we don't have much time. It seems like at this point that Mona and Melissa are working together in some capacity. When Paige sees Melissa though, she suddenly decides to stay. Now I am sincerely hoping that it's to be here and spy on her. I sincerely hope that's what's happening. We get full confirmation in this episode that Cece was the one who killed Wilden. And Allie says that it was partly to protect her. Now I'm curious about what the other part was. Also, I'm pretty curious about why Cece felt the need to protect Allison from Wilden. I mean, we all know he was slimy, but I wonder what he had on Allison and what he was trying to do to her. Holbrook finds the number for the Fitzgerald Theater and decides to call, and Allie picks up phone, and her face just gets like terrified. It looks like she kind of recognizes his voice. She assures the girls that she doesn't know who it was on the other end. I don't know if I trust that she doesn't know who it is. Wouldn't it be hysterical if the plot twist was that Holbrook was the beach hottie that got Allison pregnant? In that case, I would just have to say that Pennsylvania police in general needs some revamping. Holbrook calls the New York Police Department and is like, you need to get down to this theater now because I think Allison De Laurentiis is there. Arya goes in to visit Ezra again and he wakes up, and this time he tries to whisper something to her. We can't fully hear what it is, but it sounds kind of like Shauna. All I know is that it causes Arya to run out into the waiting room and look around, and when she doesn't see what she was looking for, she leaves the hospital. Speaking of Shauna, she's in the theater with the girls and she's got a gun and a black hoodie and black pants. Now it would seem that the person who shot Ezra was Shauna. The only thing that confuses me about that is that when she shot him, she was dressed in all black. And then did she take off all of those clothes and put on the clothes that she was wearing when she encountered Arya and then put on her black clothes again to go attack the girls in the theater? It just seems a little sketchy to me based on the outfit changes. So Shauna has clearly turned on Allison. She's pointing the gun at her, and she says that she couldn't think of a better place for Allison's story to end. Allison had always said to Shauna, the only way to trust someone is to not ask too many questions. And then Allison sent Shauna to Rosewood to ask questions. And I think that what Shauna found out made her feel a little bit less loyal to Allison. Heck, a lot less loyal to Allison. She's pointing a gun at her. So Shauna says, I got so many answers from all the people you hurt. Even your own mother was afraid of you. Shauna says that Allison has no idea who Jenna is and that Jenna did not send her to New York to do this. Jenna doesn't even know she's there. However, it is a bonus that once this is taken care of, Jenna will be able to go back to living her life. Just as Shauna is about to shoot at the girls, Arya comes in and takes the gun that Hannah was messing with earlier, hits Shauna with it, and Shauna falls off the stage. So it would appear that Shauna is dead from the fall. Now, 2 of the Pretty Little Liars have officially killed someone. Emily killed Nate, and now Arya has killed Shauna. It's interesting to me because in the books, Arya gets accused of pushing a girl off of a balcony, supposedly a girl that was working for Allie. The girls, though, seeing Shauna dead, are relieved and think it's over. And I couldn't help but laugh at that moment because it's so funny that you think this is over. You were confronted by all of those people in the park and you legitimately think that, like, because this one person is dead that it's over? No, that's not how that works. Cece Drake, dressed up as Vivian Darkbloom, wig and all, getting ready to board a plane. She is able to get on no problems. I don't know if we can trust Cece yet. She says she's going to France. Interestingly enough, who else is over there right now? Toby's still over in London, and theoretically so is Ren. Also, the fact that the ticket was originally for Allison. Was Allison planning to get out there to meet up with Ren? At the end of the episode, we see the cops come into the Fitzgerald Theater and find Shauna's dead body. Thank goodness the show is being clear about the fact that Shauna is like legit dead, because usually when someone dies, we don't necessarily get to see their body for a long enough period of time to assume that they're dead. No one is really dead in the Pretty Little Liars universe until you show a close-up of their still unmoving body, i.e. Mrs. De Laurentiis getting buried, Ian with the gunshot in his head, and now Shauna. Some of the big questions that I think that we all still have after this episode. Who killed Mrs. De Laurentiis? I think that the biggest front runner is probably Jason. Is Shauna the one that shot Ezra? I think it's really easy to assume that because she had the black hoodie and the gun and everything like that, but they could have found some way for it to not have been Shauna that was the one who actually shot Ezra, and just they're making it look like she did. Who is the girl in Allison's grave and who killed her? What is Ezra's secret? Because this whole episode, it seems like, was hinting at the fact that there are things that we still don't know about Ezra. And finally, what is this big secret that Melissa is keeping, and why is Peter Hastings so intent upon her keeping it? Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this week's episode of Pretty Little Liars and any theories that you have. I would love, love, love to discuss them with you. If you don't already, you can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Blogspot, and Instagram, username CandidCrandell. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again on Tuesday. Bye!